Modern medication did not work for me. Modern medication did not work for me. Modern medication did not work for me. Modern medication. Welcome back. Welcome to our extended version here. Again, we're with PK, producer, D. Paul Stanford, activist, Weedman, cannabist, and your host here, Perry, with Mercytv. And we're discussing current things happening here, legislative action-wise. Some legislative things about just getting distribution for patients. But Paul was touching on the main impediment to patients, which was the fees.
Yeah, the fact that
oh, nice.
Most people.
Oh, excellent. Go ahead, caller.
Hello.
Hello.
Is Mr. Bigger available?
That's me right here.
Well, you guess who this is, and we'll continue to chat, Corporal.
Sounds like somebody I did some time in the military with.
Well, yeah, it's your fault I'm in.
Oh,
was in.
this must be Jim Cup.
Yes, indeed.
Well, how you doing, Jim? You got any questions for Mr. Stanford?
Yeah, tell me a little bit about the CBDs and how the CBDs with the THC are affected. I guess I've used the CBDs, and I really, like 5 minutes. So yeah, I felt good, great. Broken ribs, I need to go to sleep. But now I got friends that use the CBDs, and it's slightly loaded with THC, and they have great effect. So I'm not looking for the high, but tell me about it.
Well, I think one thing we want to state is that CBDs have always been there. This is not a new phenomenon. This has just been recently isolated and identified. And now that they've been able to do so, in certain places, particularly, say, Israel, they have a strain where they've kept crossing, and so they've got a very low THC and a very high CBD. But more than CBDs, there's the CBNs, CBGs, and a couple of CBs that I'm not sure of.
10-4, good buddy on that one.
Cannabidiol, cannabichromine, CBC, and cannabidiol.
Cannabidiol.
But apparently CBD is really good for pain and spasms.
It's an anti-inflammatory.
And it doesn't really get you high. It doesn't get you the psychological.
And I'm torn up.
Say that again, Jim.
I've done construction for 35 plus
Multiple
years.
heart attacks.
And now what kind of thing do I need?
Have you talked to your doctor about it?
My doctor said drive on.
Said go for it, huh, brother?
Yep.
Well, maybe we can.
Are you in Oregon?
Mm-hmm.
I am.
Well, there are doctors that are more than happy to help you.
The Knoxes, Dr. Knoxes. Look up the Knox Center.
How many do we have? Still have clinics?
We're seeing patients. If you're looking for a doctor to help you, you can call us at 503-235-4606. That's 503-235-4606. We're setting appointments for Dr. David Knox.
Yes.
They were featured on the NBC Today show in March, the Knox family. I started working
like
with...
I said, I'm not into the getting high thing.
Right.
Oh, yeah, well,
I'm definitely into the pain-free thing because I'm trying to get a few more years before I kick the bucket.
Right.
And
longevity has its benefits.
Or you can give the Mercy Center a call and give us your address, and I can send you some healing oil to you. High in CBDs.
Right, and that's something to try too. The folks that are.
Stuff goes under your tongue?
No, actually, you can apply it topically. Rub it on to your sensitive areas. Yep.
Yeah.
And it soaks in and affects it like joint pains, muscle issues.
You can inhale it, you can eat it, you can put it on your skin. Mm-hmm. Johnson & Johnson, the baby oil company, used to make cannabis topical preparations. I have some antique Johnson & Johnson containers and products.
Well, that's interesting.
Got a question. We've got viewers out there that are wondering, okay, if I use a topical, am I going to pass a blood test? And I have a personal answer. I
If it
recently
has
spilled some
THC, you will
RSO
not.
last week.
Right.
And I used RSO as hand lotion all over the place because I had nothing. I didn't. It was already dirty. I didn't get high. I don't think that it would show up in my blood if I'm not getting high from RSO as a topical.
Yeah,
If it's
that's
got
not a good
THC in
determinant.
it.
Yeah.
Well, if it's not active THC, you might not get enough of a dose to
The RSO is
test much
tincture.
positive.
It is heated. It is alcohol tinctured.
And somebody I know uses this CBD product, and it's a low THC, but we were told that the body produces its own THC, and
That's true.
not enough to show up on.
It's called anandamide.
On
Right.
UA.
And anandamide does show up on a UA. That's why you are allowed to have below 25 nanograms
Exactly.
per milliliter in urine, because that your anandamide naturally
It's
shows
a naturally
up.
occurring thing. There's
Yeah.
anandamide. There's this in lettuce,
Yeah.
in a number of things, and certain people could end up with a
And
consumption
so
of
it tests
and-
positive, and they
Right.
they won't say you're positive if you're unless you're over 25 or in
When
some
in fact
cases
you
35
can never
or
consume
50.
it at all, and it's a wild
Yeah,
thing. And
everybody
a
has
little, very little known fact, something that the
Wow,
government's
see?
no hurry to educate people
Hear
about.
that?
Yeah.
Your children already
But
have
why
it
you
in
come
them.
here
It's
to
part
Mercy
of your
TV? Because they've got it, man.
Transmitters. It's a natural neurotransmitter.
That's why you want to challenge that nonsense. Well, we should stop doing it for crying out
And
loud.
it's
so.
most concentrated in colostrum, which precedes lactation in mothers. So when a mother is about to start lactating to a newborn baby, they give them colostrum. Comes out of
Colostrum, yeah,
colostrum.
colostrum. Yeah. I used to pronounce it.
COLSTRUM, colostrum, and that
What's
is
that?
almost pure anandamide or CBD, and it basically gives the baby the munchies and makes the baby want to nurse more.
Right.
And doesn't it help with their
that's
immune
interesting.
system too?
Yeah,
It's
yeah, there are other things
It's
the
like
baby-
all the
the
stuff
mother
that the mother's
transfers
given to the baby when
So-
they're first
But
taking
it's,
care of it.
it's really heavy in
right.
the endogenous cannabinoid anandamide. That's very, it's an analog to THC.
Right on. So,
Interesting.
yeah. And it just, you
So
know,
if I
you-
come down to Newport, Ed can hook me up, right?
Well, or you get a hold of Paul.
well, yeah, as far as getting your,
I can help you get a
You're
doctor
easy.
if that's what you
I know
need.
where you're at.
Well, I'll take care of you with Paul's knowledge. We'll hook you up. Talk to Dr. Notch
we
too.
can get a
They're very
contact
knowledgeable.
info and
This
we can
man's
make the
got
call,
like super knowledge.
set an appointment.
I've been at it a
and so
long time.
forth.
I
For a
get
day or
to-
two, right?
So, how about the patient grower networking resources?
You know, it's up to each patient to network, basically. There are some groups out there, like your group.
Right.
Mercy Center is one of the top ones in the state for sure. And
We're trying.
We're trying,
you know,
but in
there's
truth,
not a lot of
then
growers
what is it,
out there.
Compassionate
though.
Oregon is trying to help
right, yeah,
patients
and
with
I
that.
hear they started up the center down there again.
And so there's a bunch of people across the state trying to do that, but it's becoming more and more difficult. I have been a medical marijuana grower since 1999 when it was legal to do that.
Right.
And I've grown 24 plants a year outside. And just this year, for the first time, I had the Oregon Health Authority come and inspect my garden. We passed, I'm happy to say. They said they were going to come back at harvest. Okay, well that's okay. I don't care. You know, I had been given a choice last December, like all growers in Oregon,
Right.
to be either OLCC regulated or Oregon Health Authority regulated. So I chose, because it seemed to make sense to me, to try to get the OLCC license and bump up. So I chose that, and I went to my county and got the LUX, the Land Use Compatibility Statement.
Right.
And I was in line until June 15th, when the state said they were going to stop processing applications.
Yeah.
I thought mine would be processed. Now I'm told it will be processed next January. Perhaps they'll start processing it in January.
Yeah, that's wrong.
Do you
Yeah.
mean that Oregon OMMP does not have the money to pay someone to actually process the application?
It's the OLCC. is who it is.
Yep.
So I have my medical marijuana licenses.
The
So I'm
Friends
able
of
to grow.
Cannabis.
This is a rural location now, so I'm able to grow 48 plants flowering this year. But
Right.
I thought I was going to be able to grow 4,000 square feet and 40,000 recreational. 4,000 medical, 10% more than the recreational license, to
Right.
grow a total of 44,000 square feet. Got the property, prepared to do it. State couldn't issue the license, wait till next year. Well, I understand there is an oversupply, but as a medical grower for 19 years and being directed to do this, I think they should have processed the medical growers they
Yeah.
directed
Right.
to do this.
Since cannabis is a superfood, let's share this excess. Let's eat it raw.
There we go.
Okay.
Hey, you got any more questions, Jim?
No, sir, I don't. I'll see you tomorrow. You gonna be out tomorrow?
Oh, yeah. Well, you give me a holler. God bless you,
I'll see
brother.
you tomorrow.
All right.
Thank you, Jim.
Thank you
Okay,
for
man.
calling.
Yeah,
Right.
no problem.
God bless you,
Thanks for
brother.
calling in. So let's see, other resources. There's not a lot of clubs or places for once they are able
No.
to find
There's a
medicine to
couple
go
in
and
Portland.
consume.
The Northwest Cannabis Club on Powell Boulevard at Southeast 12th, and the Flight Lounge on what is it? Holgate and 72nd, Southeast
Right.
72nd. In
So-
Portland, there are those two. I know there's some. Isn't there one in Kaiser?
Yeah,
Is there one?
Oh, the Cherry on Cherry Street. Yeah.
They've been there a while.
Patients
grower network.
PGN, right.
Yeah.
I spoke there back during the Measure 80 campaign back in 2012. A couple of times I went in there.
Yeah, I think they're still going.
Yeah, good.
I don't get much time to get over there.
Yeah.
Can't afford it in any case.
Yeah.
So we're still trying to do our networking, and let folks out there know patients can still network to other patients. I believe it's still 24-ounce exchange.
You know, the
Between
law
patients?
keeps changing.
I know.
So yeah, better check it out.
The laws continue to make it more and more difficult for medical patients to even share with each other.
Right.
I think if a patient is sharing with a friend, they don't have anything to worry about anyway, regardless of what the law is.
Right. As
You
between
know.
adults, there's
I
that,
mean, if
so-
they're not actively trying to market their cannabis, they should be left alone in this environment.
You'd
Right.
hope so, but no, nothing's guaranteed. This new era of reefer madness with the pushback by the
Do you know anything about
right
the
on all
money
fronts,
that
so.
they collected on taxes?
Where it goes?
Yep.
Yeah, we had a call the other day about someone is asking if there's a way to find out how it's actually spent, how it's not just how it was planned.
There's an Oregon Cannabis Commission now that might be able to answer that specifically. There was a formula in Measure 91 on where the proceeds were supposed
how
to
it's
go.
supposed to be allocated.
Yeah, but I cannot speak to any specificity about
with the
how
Department
those
of
actually have been collected and allocated. I have heard at times, they're giving money out to the school districts, for instance.
Okay.
But I haven't
Heard like numbers.
Confirm that and say
can't tell
any
you
numbers. Yeah.
just off the top of my head,
So how-
without a little bit of research at the very least.
Would the Department of Revenue know that, or
Someone there definitely knows that.
because they're the ones actually writing the check?
The
for
OLCC
paying it out, so.
probably knows that.
They should.
Yeah, and
Whether
I
or
think
not they're gonna fess
they
up,
do
you don't know, 'cause-
publicize where they they get their money. When it
they?
comes to the Oregon Health Authority, they had shared medical marijuana funds for a lot of other health programs.
Oh,
not
yeah.
just the
Millions of
medical
dollars
marijuana.
over the years,
Yeah, there
yeah.
was a surplus back 7 or 8 years ago that they spent on other health care issues for the Oregon Health Authority. There
Nice.
used to be the Oregon Health Service and the Oregon Health Department. Now they're the authority. So I guess that's,
Do you have your papers? Yes.
they came to look at my papers. Fortunately, we had our papers in order.
There we go.
Okay, so now the folks they've got their card, they've got medicine now in the short term. They're trying to find a grower, maybe get growing themselves. There's still the six plant.
Yeah.
How about
If you're just growing for yourself at your own residence,
or up
less,
to 12 for the
you can have up to 12, and they have to be out of public view. But and if you're in a rural area, you can have up to 48. But if you're inside city limits, but it's 6 per patient.
Right.
But there's no
Still,
extra
that
grower
limitation,
fee.
right, so,
There's
yeah.
there's a patient application fee that can be $200, except it's $60 if you're on food stamps,
Right.
$50 if you're on the Oregon Health Plan, and $20 if you're either a veteran or on SSI,
Right, SSI.
Supplemental Security Income, a Social Security program. In that case, it's $20. But if you do not, if you name someone else as a grower, then then you have to pay an extra $200.
Yeah.
There's several
Yeah.
criteria. You know what they
Right.
are.
Oh, God.
And there's no logic or reason to that thing. It's
Yeah.
purely a prohibitive item.
In
It's meant to
Montana, the
suppress
application
people.
fee the first time is $35, and renewals are $15.
Yep.
In Hawaii, it's $25.
Yep.
Here in Oregon, $200 to $400 if
Right.
you have someone else growing for
Right.
you. You know,
The highest in the land by almost, gosh,
2
10
to 1.
times.
2 to 1 at
2 to 1
least.
in the higher ones, yeah, even. Yeah, it's horrific there. I'm glad they have that recreational to fall back on.
You know, cannabis is safe, and we're still just dealing with federal prohibition and coming out of this reefer madness that our country was in for 80 or 90 years. Eventually, we have to come as a society to what cannabis really does and change its status.
And doesn't do, you know.
Yeah, and what it can do that it hasn't been able to do yet, which is replace most of our petroleum, replace most of our lumber for paper and building materials, give us protein as a byproduct, helping to wipe out world hunger, stop deforestation, stop the buildup of carbon in the atmosphere. You know, when you look at the wide range of things that cannabis can do, it's almost unbelievable.
It is.
It sounds too good to be true until you really examine it and find out that it is.
Right, and that's one of the things that we're trying to get over. A lot of pushback on the issue has been that it's been hyperbole and so forth. You know that, and unfortunately, it's drowned out the possibilities. You know, folks still comment on the Spain study showing the curing of cancer in the mice. You know, and
there's a lot of other studies to back that up.
Right, but then that overshadows the fact that story was noted as one of the top 25 censored stories of 2005. And for me, that exposed that there's a censoring system here in the United States, and that we're not always getting all the information like this Spain experiment that showed to their stuff that cannabis cures cancer in mice. Now, another thing that they found was that there was a study done in America in 1975 along the same lines, but that study has been destroyed since.
It's the social engineers.
And showed the DEA's destroy the evidence system that's still going on, for all we know. You know.
UCLA's Donald Tashkin made a 30-year study of cannabis, and he was sure it was going to show, like tobacco, that it caused lung cancer. But after studying it for 15 years, he realized that people who use cannabis are less likely to have lung cancer than people who don't use anything at all, and came to believe it has this anti-cancer property. So,
It's
you know,
like putting tea
the
tree oil
pharmaceutical companies don't want that.
Right.
No.
The
It was
information get out. It was
the
buried.
late, great Kentucky attorney Gatewood Galbraith who
Right.
told us who it really was. The petrochemical, pharmaceutical, military, industrial, transnational, corporate, elite, fascist, ruling class. I'll change the last line there. Just
not easy to get into. Yeah, the Kentucky libertarian, I believe.
Yeah. He ran for governor a number of times as a Democrat, actually. One of
our champs out there fighting the good fight, and a tough crowd there in Kentucky. Boy, they still trying to get the hemp going. I think they have a law, and
they've been able to grow hemp now, and there's a few big companies there that are
actually
growing
get some
lots
crops
of hemp.
in. Wow!
And now they're just trying to develop a market. So.
Speaking of somebody who should be allowed to have a crop, how's the White Plume tribe in the Dakotas?
They're able to grow hemp now.
Oh.
They are. So Alex White Plume with the Lakota Nation in South Dakota has been able to grow hemp the past couple of years.
Excellent. Gosh, I was so sick and tired of hearing the DEA sweeping in and burning, taking their crop
That
down.
happened several years in a row. The first time they came in with machine guns and helicopters. And later they came with shorts and sunglasses.
Right, and made a real big party of it.
Shorts and sunglasses.
Right.
They got money and guns and tell us what to do.
Well, the first time they came in, it was this, the same old reefer madness, loaded for
paramilitary
bear
assault.
and stuff. Yeah, 3 a.m. dawn, and then after they got all the publicity of what the, WTF over, it's
it
like,
takes
come on.
money to make money. They let us make money and then they take it back.
That's some of the
Legally,
stuff,
right?
and they shouldn't be forgotten because they're still happening today in states that don't have them. But some of the things that the folks went through here in Oregon, California, these purposefully military, dawn raids where they went in and in some cases shot the dogs, made sure.
There's a video
one story where they
out
dragged
there.
the poor thing out and shot even after it went straight because they could, I guess. I don't know. But they weren't sending a message, just like this current administration with other issues and children, so forth. But the deliberate, grabbing of people and screaming at them, and this gal, get up. She's like, I'm crippled. I can't stand up, and okay, they compromised, let her crawl to a wheelchair, but then they, felt the necessity to handcuff her to it in case she made a wheel for it or something. I don't know. Kind of. Yeah. But
when they break in the wrong house and shoot people. In one case, they shot the mayor back about the
oh my
city.
gosh, yeah,
they
right.
broke into the wrong house next door. Oops. Shot the mayor. That's just
Who
one
did that?
many.
The paramilitary, social elite.
The DEA, these
drug
these
raid
raids and
happened in
stuff
drug
here.
raid.
Yeah.
It happened frequently.
Well, I heard in Minnesota too that they were doing that. They'd
Yeah.
give people their license, let them get all nice dispensary and everything all set up, get all this money, and then they come in and take it all.
Yeah.
Like you're doing, like some.
It happened in Oregon too.
And stuff
It's
like,
happened in
you're
Oregon.
trying to hide it or something. You're criminals. Well, you won't fool us. It's like, fool who? I told you I was coming. I registered with you. Anyway, so yeah. And do you have other facilities in other states still?
My company does. I am in a legal battle with an Israeli-Canadian oil company called Adira Energy that has come in and taken over my national clinic business.
Oh,
and
no.
so the hearing on that is scheduled for March 11th of 2019, actually. I spent about $170,000 on lawyers. The other guys have spent about $2 million on lawyers. There are a lot of stories out there about it in the media. Salem News, for instance, has written a pretty good article and is working on another one, a publication called Ganjapreneur, the Huffington Post. But if somebody wants more information, they can call our office. I don't want to bore you with a tale of woe here. But I am locked in a battle with a George Soros-owned energy company.
Oh, no,
called Adira
not
Energy.
George.
Yep, George
Say
Soros.
it ain't
And
so.
it actually happened around Measure 91. And it was Measure 91's way of pushing us out of the way, so Measure 80 couldn't make the
Well,
ballot
for
in
the folks that aren't
2014.
aware, George Soros is one of the funders
He
of the
funded
medical
Measure 91.
of the OMA in
And the drug,
98. And
the Drug Policy Alliance used to be the foundation, but the Drug
Right.
Policy
So
Alliance
he
and the
helped-
Open Society Foundation.
he
is
helped
his
make
biggest.
medical cannabis happen in Oregon. George Soros did. Him and the other two boys, Peter.
Peter Lewis, who passed
Right.
away from Progressive Insurance, and
Right.
John Sperling
Right, there's the other guy,
of
so.
Phoenix University.
Right.
They were the funders of the
Those guys.
were the
did.
medical marijuana bill.
So
initially.
yeah, and it's sad to hear he's on the other side of this. Where
Yeah,
the
well,
people are
Soros
concerned.
also owns Monsanto, a big part of
Oh,
Monsanto.
No kidding.
And
Yeah,
they're the ones that
Monsanto is trying to dominate the cannabis industry, along with Bayer, which owns
and-
GW Pharmaceuticals, which just got approved for Epidiolex, and it's going to cost patients $35,000 a year, I think, to get this new pharmaceutical
Wow.
treatment for epilepsy.
Right.
Oh
Which is so
my God.
hypocritical.
And
for
it's
all
just
the-
a pure cannabis plant extract.
So hypocritical
Oh, my
for these outfits who for all these years not just them as corporations, but their families, the DuPonts and so forth, have pushed and funded, the drug war, and when they got into positions of power, the legislative, one of the DuPonts there was part of the legislation,
Perhaps the last honest president, or semi-honest, when Jimmy Carter was quoted just this weekend in the Washington Post saying, the United States is no longer a democracy or a republic, it's an oligarchy based on money.
Well, yep.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
And the same families that...
My only hope is that I can get a jury of my peers in Multnomah County where my corporate hostile takeover thing will be fought to rule in my favor. And I think I will. I don't think there's a jury that'll rule in favor of this Israeli-Canadian energy company.
Or even, yeah. What's the number again for that office?
If someone's looking for a doctor, wants more information about this fight, then you can call us at 503-235-4606. That's 503-235-4606. We're scheduling doctor's appointments Monday through Friday, but you can leave a message 24 hours a day.
Right on. Excellent. Well, another
thanks for having me again.
And the resource network that is the cannabis community here in Oregon. And I hope we don't have to go back to the dark old days where we're the underground, helping out people as best we can, hand under the table and hoping nobody gets
Jeff
busted.
Sessions
and
doesn't stop our program here.
Right.
With the change in the composition of the federal Congress that will probably happen this November, and it'll go into place in January, I believe Blumenauer, the Portland congressman, has said he thinks as well that next year at this time they'll be debating and implementing marijuana legalization on a federal basis.
That's good news.
So
Excellent.
register, vote.
Rad.
Yeah.
Register,
That's
vote,
something
and get
important
everybody
to
a
do.
note to do so also. But don't just register, get to the polls. We need a big push to make
Or to
sure.
the mailboxes here in Portland.
Right.
In Oregon, I mean.
And follow up, make sure you stay registered. There'll be a big push by
And
the
then
other
vote.
sides to disenfranchise a lot of voters. Oh,
Yeah.
by the way, remember, felons can vote here in Oregon.
That's right.
So don't be shy.
As long as a person is not locked up,
Correct,
they can
that's
vote.
right. Not
In
currently
Oregon.
incarcerated.
Yeah.
And if you'd like to see any of these
And
shows,
run for office.
yeah,
Yeah.
you can. That's right.
Felons
right,
can
yeah.
run for office. There have
Yeah.
been several Republican congressmen and senators who were felons.
Republicans, funny.
And please remember that you can see this content if you go to YouTube, Newport Weedman. We're loading more content as we speak for mercycenters.org.
Thank you.
Well, thanks everybody for tuning in. Thanks, Paul, for coming on.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Perry.
Paul.
Thank you, Eddie.
Thanks to Weedman, as always. PK,
My garden.
Channel 23. Thanks to our help there in the control room, and a special thanks to CCTV for having us on. Visit more, or find out more, visit mercycenters.org. Thanks. We'll see you next time on Mercy TV.
Please remember, do the next right thing. Be safe with cannabis, and go Weedman.
You want to say anything before I turn it off, Glenn?
Yes, good night.
Good night. God bless you all, every single one of you.